welcome to another episode of Prop Talk, the official podcast of the Property Masters Guild. I am your host today, Mikey Trudel, returning from a long-winded absence as host. I've been producing in the boards and everything still. Trying something new, bringing in a whole bunch of new co-hosts and different prop masters to help and get some new ideas and new people in the room, which super pumped about. And today, one of those co-hosts is here, and it's we had her on as a guest one time, but now you return as a co-host, Sarah Snyder. How's it going, Sarah?
What's up, people?
Yeah. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you brought in a guest today.
We have a guest today, Jessica Pazdernik. She is the costume supervisor to the stars and a good friend of mine that I've known for a very long time.
Look at that.
Yeah. She is here today to talk all of us through. If you've been listening, you know that we do props. Most of us that have been here at Prop Masters, we've had lots of guests. And we're here to talk about how the costumes and the props unite during a shoot.
Yeah, I'd say costumes and props are probably, I don't know, we have probably the most crossover than props do with any other department, I would say. Would you?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Whether it's a watch, a ring,
glasses. It has a lot to do with the look.
Yeah.
They're both very character building departments. So yeah, I think I think we've been past due to have somebody in costumes to at least talk about that.
Yes, for sure. Do you want to give just a little brief what you do?
Sure. So as the costume supervisor, I'm sort of in charge of the department in general, breaking down the script, dealing with the staffing, dealing with the logistics. I like to say I'm like the CFO of the department. In terms of anything that the designer needs, I'll execute it for them, along with the fabulous crew that I assemble. And it's part of being able to tell the story visually from the costume standpoint. And like you guys were saying, working with props is a huge thing whenever we get into any kind of a script description where it's like, they're walking in carrying their bag. Well, whose bag is it? Is it our bag? Is it is it your bag? So there is a lot of crossover between the two departments.
A lot. So then when we start shows in production, the costume designer will set the look for all of us. And then the prop department will get in there and start talking about what we can add to the party. And then once we start shooting, you and I get into it a little bit more. That's when it gets into the nitty-gritty of knowing when actors are being fit and what glasses they need, what watches they need, what rings they need, or what else they need. And that's when our departments totally start colliding.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that collaboration is really important, especially those first meetings with the actors. Oftentimes we're one of the first people that they see. They come in asking a lot of questions, a lot of which we're not allowed to talk to them about in terms of when are they working and what kind of trailer that they have. But I've gotten a lot of actors that have been like, well, do I wear my sunglasses? I've got these great glasses that I like to wear, or I like to carry these bags, or they wear these kind of jewelry. And those questions are really important to be able to work with the prop master. With having props with us in those first fittings is also really important to kind of set that tone. And I think that we get a lot out of it when we can collaborate and be on the same page with them.
Yeah, I usually start ringing in the supervisor's ear pretty early because of we can't really even, I think in the prop department, for me anyway, I can't start getting anything for the characters until I know what their looks are. And their looks are typically, at least like the rough boards are typically approved with you guys before anything else. So I know that's going to get approved first. So I'm always ringing in their ears, like, as soon as you have anything. And a lot of times, it's just like, okay, these haven't been shown or reviewed yet. So that's not it, but just shut up and take them and go away. And I was like, okay, it's something to go off of.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are like our biggest things. The production designers looked of what the set is.
Yeah.
The costume designers look. And then that's when I'm the same with you. I can't buy anything, do anything until I know what tone show is.
Yeah.
And the costume designer sets that tone just like the production designer. And getting all that information is huge for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like being able to work closely with prop masters. I do feel like we're the ones in the field. Oftentimes the costume designer, production designer have bigger things to think about. We always are the specifics, like, give me the details. I want every little nut and bolt. And so I love that collaboration when it works together and works seamlessly. It's just a fantastic partnership.
Yeah. Like on our last show, you and I were talking so much about this background count does not make sense. I have this, you have this. How many stunt guys do we have today? Because we have to prepare for all of this, all the doubles.
Yeah.
And all the extra stuff. And when our numbers don't align, you're like, wait, where's these 10 extra guys coming from?
Yeah.
And where's all the extra props for this? And
Like
where's extra
like
costumes?
they didn't match the background breakdown?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Like 5 extra cops just show up out of nowhere?
Yep. Yeah. Like legit.
Yeah. Or my other favorite is when they didn't think about the process in the morning, which also happened on our last show. It was like, well, how are you going to get these guys from base camp over to the set? And what's their process? They come through us, then they have to go to Sarah to get all of their stuff. And it's just like that kind of like step with the ADs when they look at you like, wow, thank you for thinking of that. It's like, we're here to help you.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah. It's like, no, it takes 15 minutes to dress a military guy.
Oh, yeah.
And that's just with us. And that's
Yeah.
with us, with people that know what they're doing. And belts that will fit their sizes, because hopefully we got most of their sizes, which we didn't.
Yeah.
But it's like, then you're, wait, there's more background.
Yeah.
What is happening?
Yeah.
I thought we were done. And the counts just like never were the same.
Yeah, and how many times we've been overlooked too? Because at least going through the costume is like the process they have. They're like, oh, you'll just prop them up and set. It's like ally will.
Yeah,
No, you bring them through you bring them through hair and makeup. You bring them through costume. Like bring them to the prop truck.
Yep.
I'm not coming to set with all of this stuff. Like they need to come and get them. And the same thing. It's the process of everything. It seems like it's, I don't know, depending on what it is, it's like, oh, ADs have it figured out sometimes.
No. But it's so nice to hear, like, when you collaborate with the costumes, especially when you have things like military and police, because they get the people before, because they size them and then they let us know the size. And usually they're like, oh, we're a 34. And you're like, cool, you're actually a 36 because you're wearing clothes and wearing a belt. So you're not actually that size. And those are things you have to think about.
Yeah.
And getting all that beforehand sometimes is, for both of us, is crazy if we don't. But
Pulling
crazy,
teeth.
yeah, it's pulling teeth. It's all about the time management that a lot of production doesn't realize how many steps has to go. They know hair and makeup, they know that,
Yeah.
But then costumes and us, it's like they're like, nah, we can skip that. And
It is nice, though, if they realize that they're talking to people that do know what they're doing. We did have another instance where the ADs actually changed their location on something for us, because when we started getting into the process, we had an apocalypse thing. It was like, it's going to be a lot of clothes for us. It's going to be a lot of props for props. And it's heavy, it's hot. You're going to do this on the other side of the lot. And they actually kind of changed their thinking in terms of where they were going to do it, because they realized they actually they need a flat space. They can do that anywhere. And it was really nice to have them kind of take that into consideration. And I had a nice thank you from an AD once saying, thank you for thinking about all of that for us, because it really did help facilitate our day. And it made dressing 100 people in an apocalypse much easier when we could do it all in one space that was contained, as opposed to, 4 corners of the universal lot.
yeah. And I mean, just for them to wrangle all of the people from breakfast to costumes to props to set, was the way they had it planned out was insane. Like that day should have been longer for all of it. And Jessica had she went in there and was like, this isn't going to work, guys. Do you understand how much of your day is going to be taken by this?
Yeah, that's half the coordination is filtering all in. I just did, not too long ago, we did this basketball stadium scenes where it was a montage of them, our main characters going to about, I don't know, over a dozen different they were going to all the basketball stadiums. So we shot it on bleachers on a green screen. And the idea was we'll get 300 background and we'll just rotate them out for each team. the 4 days, it was crazy hell. Like the amount of people props had, the amount of people costumes had. Like costumes had this mega tent, and we had this whole like giant extended. It was a huge long extended room, but we turned it into a hallway after we filled it all up with just tables and all that stuff, and it became just. Like, I don't know, when you play a video game and there's like an endless generator that's just spitting people out, that's what it was. Yeah. It didn't stop. They were getting change, coming through, propping up, going back, getting unchanged, rechanging, coming back, depropping, propping up. And it was just nonstop for 4 days.
I think montage is like the worst word that you can use. Whenever you see that, you just start shaking in fear.
Because they know how fast it is on screen, and they don't want to realize how it's not that fast when we're actually doing it.
Yeah,
like things take time. When they say montage, when people are eating food, that's like a prop panic.
Oh yeah,
it's like
throw Thanksgiving in there.
Yeah, like just yesterday we did a montage and like. Nobody talked about the shelving unit being actually built. It was like he takes it out of the box, he starts it, then it gets to the second phase, and then we break for lunch, and the director goes, "Okay, so now the shelf is up," and we're like, but it goes in her room, and they're like, "No, he has it up in the living room, so we know it's done." And I was like,
"Cool,
cool. We're not taking lunch today, guys."
Yeah, how much time do I have? That's crazy.
We're not taking lunch today.
No,
but. So during the TV process, Jessica is so good with getting out the information. So once you start shooting the TV show, they're still going through all these fittings of background artists or actors. And usually the prop department, because we're so small, we're in it. Like we're always going and going and going. We don't have a lot of office staff, but getting the information out on when fittings are happening is so key. So key. Like, I've been on shows where it's literally 6:00 at night. They're like, "Oh, we got a fitting at 9 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
Can you get glasses? Can you get...
All the time. A lot.
Getting the schedule beforehand, 2 days beforehand, is so helpful.
Yeah.
In that process, especially as we're shooting, because obviously costume department has a little more office staff than most prop departments, but knowing that information ahead of time, because you give us 24 hours, we can handle mostly anything.
Yeah, and I'll try to like doing better. So if I try to get that information as early as I can, and even if I can't get that information, like I pull a tray of glasses, I pull a tray of watches, I pull whatever I think in my mind, even if I don't have the looks, what it is, and I will send it to the designer and the supervisor and whoever's fitting them that day and say, "Hey, here's the options I do have. If there's anything that is not fitting your look, or if I'm looking in the wrong direction and I need to adjust, just let me know." And that way there's no surprises when they come. I mean, that being said, it doesn't always happen that, I mean, like it always, whenever they go, it's like, "Oh, I still get the 6 p.m. or 8 p.m. call being like, "Oh, we want this pair actually," or the actor called and said, "Oh, he wants to wear his, which are a curved pair that can't get AR coded." You know what I mean? Like that's the night before that we're about to shoot it. But you know what? It at least helps in a couple cents, I think, for everybody.
It does, and then it helps me plan my day, so that I can meet that actor. And then if that actor has food, then I can ask the dietary restrictions and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
Getting that information ahead of time is so key, and it's the best.
Yeah. Sometimes you can plant out a table right outside theirs too and get like the selects. Like I got Mark Wahlberg that way on a show. I was just like, well, when's his next fitting? Like I'll just set up a table and he can pick his watch. He can pick his wallet. I can get his ID photo really quick. Like it was like that. And we got it all in like 2 minutes. The minute it was, I was like, that's all I needed.
Yeah.
I think that trust level is really important, because that oftentimes, you know, when you have that really great collaboration, it's like, "Hey, I'm stuck on set. I've got a huge, food episode or something. Can you grab that tray that's in my office?" And like knowing that and being able to help each other, I think that's a huge deal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
really
truly
big.
is.
I'm curious where you started all this. Are you born in Los Angeles?
No, I'm from Michigan.
From Michigan?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So, not a lot of film there, huh?
No, I was always interested in art and fashion, and I went to the University of Michigan for an art history degree.
Oh.
And then I realized kind of halfway through, I wasn't sure what I was going to do with that, and I had been taking some theater classes for fun. So the costume design professor at U of M said, have you ever thought about costume design? And I thought, well, no. She's like, if you like art and if you like history. So I actually stayed another year, got a double major in film and theater, and then went to graduate school in Boston for costume design.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Where in Boston?
Boston University.
Oh, really? Awesome.
Yeah.
I just did a movie in Boston. Okay. That's great.
Yeah, and then I came out here and I designed one show long ago. Realized that actually I liked the business part of it a little bit more than the design part.
Yeah.
And so
what brought you, where did that opportunity come from? I guess I should ask.
Of designing
Just to work in film specifically.
Well, I think when I got out here, I was tenacious, and I called everybody I had a lead for, and started small, but
So you kind of came out blind then?
came out blind,
Okay.
and then I got on a little film called Selena, which was my first film.
Yeah, that's a pretty good first one, I guess.
Pretty good first one. That one turned union. So
Oh, wow.
Did you get your days on the first thing?
I did. Yeah. We were a negative pickup. So before we went to Texas, the show unionized. So I was able to get into the costumers union, and doing that show was pretty incredible. Just very groundbreaking in a lot of aspects. And then I got on a TV show called Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and that kind of started this sort of television journey. Angel was the show that I designed, and when they spun it off, and ironically, the prop master and the costume designer for Angel were both the on-set props, and I was the set costumer on Buffy.
Oh, wow.
We were promoted when they did the spin-off.
Oh, cool.
Which was great, and a really great experience. But I also realized I was starting a family at that time, and I thought, I need to have a little bit of separation between that work-family balance. So I took a step back into supervising, because I really liked this sort of overall, CFO type situation. One step, if somebody says I don't like a sweater, great, go talk to that guy. If you need 12 sweaters, I can get you that. So I really liked that difference, and I kind of didn't look back from there.
Yeah. But if you win an Emmy or an Oscar, you still get a trophy though, right?
For television.
For television.
Yes. For film, supervisors are not recognized.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yeah, believe it or not.
No way.
We're the unsung heroes of the department.
Yeah.
Story of the prop department's life.
Yeah. Fortunately, if we have good designers, they usually recognize their department. If if there are some designers that maybe just think they do it all themselves, which is more power to them.
Yeah.
Some prop masters too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's changing. We're now part of the Television Academy, luckily.
Small steps.
Yeah.
Small steps.
Yeah,
One
you are.
small step at a time. So that's great. So you basically came out and realized that you didn't really want to be a designer. You enjoyed the supervisor position a lot more.
Yeah, I really like having my hands in everything. And I think when you're a designer, you're just so focused on the look. And unfortunately, I think there's so many people, what we always say is everybody gets dressed in the morning. So everybody feels like they have an opinion on what the costumes look like. A lot of times they forget that costumes are creating a visual character as opposed to just putting on wardrobe. We correct people all the time when we're referred to as wardrobe. We're not. That's a piece of furniture, or that's what's in your own closet. A costume is a visual representation of your character.
Yeah.
So I think designers, are very focused on that. And then they sometimes forget that it takes a certain amount of things to get that costume to fruition.
Yeah.
I do a lot of superhero movies, and that for example, that's a big thing. Like a super suit isn't just created in a day.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot, and it takes a lot of trial and error. So I like that whole process of developing something from literally nothing into a super suit. I think that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, a couple things there. I think we can relate on as far as our department go, on the non-appreciation of how something kind of comes together to fruition, and because everybody has an opinion and they think, oh, well, that's an item you can get at the store, so we can just run to Target and get that thing. It's like, you don't understand.
Yes. A little bit more than that.
Yeah. Let me break how many times I've had to do that, man. Luckily, I mean, and an AD got fired once, not because this was one of the straws that broke the camel back, but she was like there's a scene where something like broke and we had like a dustpan and a thing, and then she's like, the AD was like, oh no, we need a Swiffer. Hey, get a PA to go to Target. I was like, hey. This is not how we're doing things. And I went in, it was like, oh my God, you don't understand. I was like, first of all, did you talk to the director about it? You hadn't. Okay, great. So this is step one. You know, it's like all these things. So I think that's crazy. Moving on to the superhero suits. Super curious about that. What is the process? Because you've mentioned how complicated it is and how much that goes into it. What is the process of making a superhero suit, I guess?
So on our last show, I got the pleasure of making my first superhero suit.
What?
And thankfully I had Jessica.
Yep.
Because it was terrifying. I don't know when this will air, but in our coming show, we have a superhero, and I got the pleasure of collaborating and figuring out how that all worked. And it looked cool. There's lots of things that I will now know to do different.
Your first one is always a really good learning curve.
It was a learning curve, but that process is crazy.
Yeah. Does it start with a drawing of somebody's idea, and does that usually come from the costume designer or the director or what?
No, superheroes. It depends. I'll take it back. There are two types of superheroes. There are the sort of imaginary ones. Those can come from either a designer or an artist. But when you have intellectual property,
right.
You then have a team of corporate folks in the ivory tower that basically want the costumes to look like their characters and how they have been portrayed historically. So we work with conceptual artists that are at a level much higher than just our production, oftentimes. And, having done it a number of times now, there's different ways to kind of come about it. On our show, we had the corporate level, but they were very excited because this was the first time they were doing it on a television show of this scale. So they give us a lot of freedom. But within that, when they give you a representation, you then kind of have to help steer them, because we actually had two superheroes, and the time period that they wanted them in, the first images they gave us didn't quite match. So I was able to go back into some research a little bit and kind of help steer the direction of both of them to make them look like they came from the same time zone. And I think the big guys were very happy about that. I think they were pleased to have that somebody care to make it match their property. Yeah,
everything's got to be pretty zeroed in too. I mean, the tech advisor's got to be on point, because well, you worked on stuff like Spider-Man, where sure there's a Spider-Man suit, but there's been in hundreds and hundreds of comics and different variations of these suits through time, all still from Marvel.
Yeah.
So to find that right one during the exact right period when they think this movie would kind of take place, I'm sure that's like a whole thing, because even the references you're going to pull aren't going to necessarily be right.
and I was fortunate to work on the great Spider-Man, where we brought all three Spider-Men together, and we had Toby, Andrew, and Tom,
which is all different, right?
Which is all different and from all different genres, and we were able to bring them all together, and they all had to look like they did in their own films. So Toby's suit, for example, that's a 17-year-old suit, and it disintegrated.
Yeah.
They don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And so we actually had to recreate his suit to make it look exactly like it did when he was doing his movies. And all the processes are different at this point. So it was really interesting to kind of take scraps of fabric that we found in archives and then back channel, like, what were they doing? And I literally have photographs of us like laying our head on a table, examining things from the side, and like looking at seams and trying to figure out, did somebody like actually paint the suit from the underside, which they did.
Oh, wow.
And at this point, we don't have to do that anymore. We can sublimate fabric. We can make things look a lot differently. You know, his web lines were hand glued onto his suit back,
really?
Back in the day. Ours are now, there's a printing technology now. There's a wonderful fabric printer, and she can print raised web lines on fabric that stretches.
Oh.
So the lines actually stretch along with the body.
Whoa.
And in a suit like that, you know, that's called a pattern specific suit, because every seam line has to match up exactly so that the whole thing looks like it's one piece. It's actually like 17 different seams in that suit. And you have to make sure that everything is absolutely exact when you match it up. And that's for the actor, and then the stunt guy, and then the other stunt guy, and then the photo double. Yep. And, you know, everything is a size dependent. So.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's formed to your body.
It's
all formed to you.
Yeah, you can't hide in a Spider-Man suit.
No.
There are some suits you can hide in, that one you cannot.
Yeah.
So then in our show, we had the pleasure of making a Mr. Freeze.
Oh, sweet.
So DC gave us kind of the look that they wanted us to base it off of. So Jess and team did their stuff with the clothing part of it, and then I took on the chest piece, and I think we divvied out like a lot of the stuff where it was like I was doing chest, I can't even remember now. I think like you were doing elbows and knees and boots, and like then I had the gun obviously, and we worked with There You Have It 3D, and they designed a new...
I was just going to ask about 3D printing and stuff too.
They designed a new look from what DC wanted us to make, and then DC would come back and say, oh, put blue lights in this side, or make the pill look this way, or do this and do this. And then once DC was happy, then we were able to 3D print. And obviously 3D printing is hard. They have the nylon 3D printing, which is super flexible and cool. So we 3D printed this whole chest piece and all the elbows and knees, and then molded it into a soft rubber. So it formed closer to his body.
Yeah.
And then that's where the craziness, where I had never done before, is like it had to be pieced so he could move around. And then I learned Velcros that I never knew before. And I think this process took us like 2 months?
A month and a half? Yeah, and that's fast. Usually a super suit is at least 3 months. At least. You have to give enough time for R&D, the research and development part, because it is true. A lot of glues don't stick to the rubber molding, the different kinds of hook and loop fasteners, whether you do snaps, whether you do elastics, you know, all the under things. Because if we're not working together, and this was a really big one for us, if the chest piece that Sarah's making and my costume don't like jibe, then literally you're going to have pieces that are floating all over the body. And so I think what we did, which was really great, is we would have these fittings together, and we would both go and we'd work with the company making the molded pieces, and we would have my tailor there with them, and everything was integrated. And that was why I think he was so successful. And the DC people were so happy. I mean, they were thrilled. And I think we saw every corporate person came out of the office on the first day that he worked.
That's awesome.
And even like in the fittings, putting the chest piece on and then seeing them work through the linings and how they want the lining of the fabric to go was awesome to watch, because it was jiving with the suit. And there was a couple things we changed, like whether things were attached or whatever. And then I think we started going with sequences of a certain like ripple in the molds that just like, it made it look so cool.
Yeah. Back in the older comics, and I think that's what they wanted him to look like, was a little bit more timeless. He had these kind of like donut shapes on him, and modern Mr. Freeze, I mean, they've done Mr. Freeze before, but the modern one was more tech and more like, Terminator-esque in terms of, and they didn't want that. So we used those kind of repeating, like rounded shapes that work together with Sarah's props and our costume and everything. Like we would make what we called churros in their knees, which were like little dome shapes, and that all works together. So when you see the whole thing in one piece, it looks like it's right.
Yeah.
And if we didn't do that when we first started, you know, you're like, we're building something, Sarah's building something, and if that's not a partnership, then the whole thing will just look off.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm curious to how the conversation started, at least with who's handling what, because, I mean, a lot of stuff are obvious in our world, obviously, like when we know we're going to go on a police show, like props is going to do belts and accessories and nameplates and badges and guns and stuff like that. I feel like superheroes is the accessories, that line is a little bit harder to find. So how does the conversation start for you guys, I guess?
I said I never did this before. What do you want me to do?
Yeah.
No, I mean, it was just like, okay, I can put this in my budget. And I was like, obviously chess piece is me. And then we just went from there.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I think budget does have part of it. You know, it's expensive to build a suit. And so if we're able to split the costs, then the producers, you know, it's kind of like the shell game a little bit. They're like, oh, that's not so bad. If, you know, half of it comes from Sarah and half of it comes from me, then they don't think that it's as expensive as it is.
Right.
Surprisingly.
Yes.
But
Especially
sometimes.
especially when they say you only need to build one, and we're like, no, we got to do two.
Yeah. I've had the conversation with like line producers and UPMs. It's just like, yeah, that's the only, I don't mind taking on anything. It's the budget that gets thrown back to you, and the UPM is like, why are you spending this much of this? It's like, well, I have this pool where this department has this pool, and it's technically, like, I don't mind doing it, but this is where it's going to cost. And I've had line producers and UPMs say, it's all coming from the same budget pool at the end of the day. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And totally see that. And other ones that are just like, no, where it's going to be like a penny drop in, let's say, cameras.
Yeah.
And I think, you know,
ours.
when we do like working on a Marvel film, that's different. They
Yeah.
have it dialed in. You know, on something like this television show that arguably the producer had also said she had never done anything like this.
Oh, yeah.
And so for her, it was really nice to be able to go into her office and say, this is how much it's going to be.
Yeah.
This is the reality. Also, if we're making one, we might as well make two, because once you get a mold, once you have the fabric technology, it's just a little bit more printing, or it's a little bit more yardage.
Yeah.
Like it's actually more cost effective to do two as opposed to one when you start getting into a stunt guy situation, which, you know, our guy has to slip and fall and do some things. And so we knew that there was going to be a stunt person, and you don't want to have them show up in a mocap suit, because then you're punting that budget to the visual effects department.
Yep.
That's a whole other ballgame.
It's where you put it. Where's the money going?
Yeah.
And it does come from one pool, but especially working with friends and people that I've worked with a long time, like, if we can balance our budgets out, I'd rather both of us look good than, you know, putting it all on them or putting it all
totally.
on me. Like, same goes with purses. Like, usually purses are they're the design of what the designer wants, but then budgetarily, it's like, okay, Jess, are you buying the 30,000 per pin? Am I buying? How are we figuring this out?
I was going to say that too, is like some of those late night ones have been like, oh, they want this, or the designer wants this $800 pair of sunglasses. Like, this is a tier 1.
But it can, I mean, I did a film where we had a backpack that actually turned into a jump chute, because our character jumps off the Burj Khalifa. And so
That's awesome.
she has to do like a base jump. And so we worked really closely with our friends, the prop masters, on that show. And we worked together with that backpack to make sure that it matched her costume, matched what she was doing. She's supposed to be, you know, kind of on the sly. But we also had to like physically be able to fit this parachute for the jumper. And so
did a real person jump?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. We had like the best base jumper like on the planet, I guess, did her stunt for this. And so we actually had her input as well. And so she showed us the pack, and she worked with the prop company to be able to style the pack the way she needed to for safety.
Yeah.
We worked with everyone to make sure it worked with the costume. And so it was a really great collaboration between not only the two departments, but now a third, being able to have stunts involved. And that was great. As opposed to just, you know, somebody saying, oh, I own this. Like it's like, no, the whole thing worked seamlessly. Yeah. And it really like did help. It was the opening of the film. So it had to be good.
Yeah. No, creation is the best part of our jobs.
Yeah.
That's what makes us the most proud.
Yes.
We had another little scene in this show where our actors come out of the Matrix pods.
Really?
Yes.
What show is that? Oh my God.
We had a lot of, I definitely had a lot of firsts.
Oh, yeah.
There was a lot of firsts in this one. It's called Stuart Fails to Save the Universe.
Yeah.
Coming in July.
It goes through
end of July.
it goes through a media warp hole pretty much.
It does. pretty
Everybody
much.
watch it so we get a season 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do this again.
Every episode is a different universe.
That's pretty cool.
So in the Matrix.
And they were able to get IP for all these different things too.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Chuck Lorre, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Fair
got a
enough.
lot of
Fair
pull.
enough. Yeah. Yeah.
So obviously in the Matrix movie, he comes out of the pod naked, but they decided that the actors were going to be wearing their clothes, but then they're still going to be bald.
Okay.
And
So-
covered in slime.
And covered in slime. So then it became how are all these tubes being connected? And I mean, everybody was so swamped at all of this, and I was like, I guess I'll be doing that. And then I'm like, how am I going to do this? So I ended up getting running vests for all the actors, and obviously talking to costumes about the sizing of all our actors, which at this point we all kind of knew. And they'd wore these under their suits, but then I'd put magnets inside of them.
Oh wow.
So then obviously we had to have a discussion with the actors about how they're going to be wearing pretty
Strong magnets.
Yeah.
Don't go close to a car.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I had to create tubes with magnets to just stick them onto their bodies. And then they got in these things, and it was a slimy
mess. But it looks great.
It looks great.
And it worked well?
And
Yeah.
it worked well. And
Amazing.
these stupid vests, if we put them too close together
Yeah.
or let them fold
Yeah.
against each other,
Yeah.
they just got stuck. And I was like, oh, well,
Listen, no hugging.
no hugging.
Yeah.
No.
And I think on that one it was great because the woman that I had in my tailor shop was with me in all the superhero movies, and so she's really talented. She's a specialty costume manufacturer. And so she
You
was
could say her name.
Catherine. Catherine's the best. And Catherine really, she would work, Sarah would come in and be like, can you help with this? And absolutely. And so I think that partnership also was so great to be able to just be like, here, let's use this technology. Because Catherine knows tricks and tips from everything we've done. So it was very helpful all along.
But it wasn't just me going in there and being like, hey, can you do this? Obviously, I have to talk to Boss Man.
Yes.
Hey, do you guys have time
Yeah.
Yeah.
to do this for
Always
me?
time for you, Sarah.
Aw. But, the collaboration, when you have it, it's amazing. When you don't have it, it's hard.
Yeah.
And you just hope the product doesn't look like crap.
Yeah. I always feel like I feel like I'm just like a bug in the ear of costumes when it's not budging sometimes. I'm sure across there's going to be good people and bad across the board, and I don't know. I feel like I've butted heads with the costume departments, and then they've been my best friend on other shows.
Yeah.
You know?
I think the big thing is there are some designers that are very, very protective of the look. And so, obviously you're both department heads and so that mutual respect has to happen. But just knowing that, we have had, as I'm sure you've had, we've had a great costume go out and then somebody throws a backpack on that's just not right. And you're like, oh, and you have to go pull that off.
Yeah.
And so I think being able to kind of head any of that off, and, accessories are a huge,
Totally.
it's a huge deal with that visual look of the character.
Yeah.
So being able to have that sort of open conversation, and the reality of not being offended if the designer says, hey, I want to do all the purses because, on a show like Scandal, for example, with Kerry Washington, who only wore a certain kind of purse. Well, that costume department had all of her bags.
Yeah.
Because her bags were part of her character.
Yeah, bags should most of the time, purses should almost, not always, but usually be costumes, because for that exact reason, and especially these more fashiony shows, it's like the purse is always part of the costume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, whether the supervisor and I have a conversation about who's paying for a lot of it is another story, but yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll fill the bag.
Yeah.
That's always the fun one. And then I do I like being able, on the day, if we've got something, coming out of a closet, for example, that an actor is handling.
Yep.
that kind of stuff, you know, please like come to us. We've got extra things so that we can help make sure that the shirts that they're pulling out and, you know, like handling and then putting on the bed is the kind of shirt that they would actually wear or something like that. And I love when we can have those conversations at the beginning and be able to, like, you know, I mean, we've provided racks of things for like when it's handling as opposed to the set dressing part of it.
Yeah, because you don't want the actor taking out a Hawaiian shirt when that's definitely not in their wardrobe.
Yeah.
That's nothing that's actually in their closet.
Uh-huh.
But to have those conversations days before, obviously we want the information and what we're doing sooner than later. But obviously we get on shows where you don't have that time and everybody's just flying on the seat of their pants, and all you have to do is go, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think like even on our last one, another universe we had was a tribal universe. And so the whole color palette was yellow.
Sounds like a fun show, props
amazing.
and costume
It
wise.
was
amazing.
so much fun.
Yeah.
So much fun. But everything that we did from a costume standpoint was yellow. It was like like kind of a mustard yellow. And so we worked really closely together too in terms of the props to make sure that they match so that we weren't having like blue elements come into it, because the conversation the designer had with the creators was that, you know, it was going to be this yellow universe. And so we had a lot of extra fabric and bits, and we were able to kind of like provide items to say, hey, if you want to tie this in. And I think it looked really good together.
Yeah.
Because it all matched.
There's nothing worse than showing up to a set and you have blue luggage and the actor's wearing all blue and you're like, where? Oh, well, I guess we didn't have this conversation, did we?
Yeah.
Yeah. You worked on Glee for a while, right?
I did.
So did you work under Lou?
Yeah.
Awesome. Lou, I think, was like, I was very intimidated when I first saw I was going to be like prop mastering and having to collaborate with Lou. Like, I was probably more nervous to like meet her, especially like my first tray of glasses, my first stuff that I was like going for a fitting in, than I was to meet like big actors and stuff. And that was like, I was like, oh man, like doubting myself. Maybe like, what if like I'm just not good enough? Like, she's done so much of these like big fashion-y type stuff. She's won trophies for this. And like, so going in though, and then she was like so excited with the options. She like over the, she's like, oh, this is so wonderful. Thank you so much. And then she was asking my opinion about stuff. And that made me feel so comfortable. And I got along so well with her and I respected her so much. And it made, I think, the next 2 seasons just so easy to call and ask and just like about anything and just to be able to collaborate. And I realized like, man, it's this and it's that like drive and collaboration that can get you to success rather than on a lot of these like lower budget, not even lower budget specifically, but other costume designers that I've run into that just not super protective, but just was like kind of shaking their head at me a lot of the times, me feeling like, okay, maybe I don't have the design touch.
Yeah.
When in reality, if I wouldn't have gotten into props, I probably would have gotten into costumes, if I'm being honest.
Lou is fantastic. She really, you know, she has such a vision overall, and she's one of the kindest people
so kind
in the business. And she's she's great with allowing people she trusts people. And I think that's the big thing. Like I did all 6 seasons of that show. I came in episode 6 and literally turned the lights off to an empty cage when we series wrapped it. And I went through a lot of different designers and assistant designers and a couple supervisors when I was on there. I was on the trailer for that show. It was really nice to have a trust level built with her because she worked so hard.
Yeah.
And, you know, oftentimes I would say, you can't be here 24 hours a day. Like, I have a phone. I'll text you the second everybody gets dressed and make sure that they're good. And she was really good with allowing all of us to do our jobs really, like, to the utmost of our ability.
Yeah. She gave me a lot of confidence in myself, I think, with that. So moving forward, the way I work with costume departments changed a lot based around that. And like my confidence going in and just like my selects and the way I look at how it matches the character. You know what I mean? It definitely... It sharpened a lot just from that in a positive, very positive way, not a fear-based way, which I think has usually helped me way better.
Yeah.
On Glee, I learned a lot about the costume props collab too, because beforehand I don't know if I was sheltered, but once I got into that show, Paul Brenninger, rest in peace, sir. That prop master would get trays and trays of glasses and watches.
I bet.
And it was like a revolving door. And give me props. You ladies are the best.
Yeah.
And it was a revolving door. It was insanity. And then watching all those, like, because you have to keep track of all that.
Yeah.
Like, I forget what episode but we had like a disco party or something like that. And it was just like trays and trays of glasses and making sure, I mean, it made it look elevated.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and that's how we add things to the party. Is like, it looks so good. And then after we shoot it, trying to find them all down and then go into the trailer and going, Jess, do you have any of our stuff?
Yep.
The sheer volume of,
Yes.
of articles. I think that's the other thing, speaking to that is that you can't be everywhere all at once. And so oftentimes we're holding on to props
Yeah.
and because the actors, when they're done, they're done. And, especially on that show, we would always know if somebody would take their hair extensions out that they're done.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
we would get props and costumes and stuff like in their trailers. And,
Yeah.
And so we would hold on to things and just be like, hey, Sarah, I've got your rings, I've got
Yeah,
your
or the
watch.
actors that want their character props in their trailer ahead of time.
Yeah.
Like they
Yeah.
like all their stuff ready to go. Like that stuff, I hate it when that happens because that stuff always gets lost.
It always and
Always.
and it's usually the actor factor. It's not.
It is,
because
it is.
it's not because somebody's not doing their job.
No, totally. 100%.
Yeah.
And when they do want it in their trailer to put it on first, they usually don't actually do it, and they come to set without it.
No, they forget it. They don't even put it on. Oh, it's still in my trailer.
Yeah. Like, how many times have you guys gone, well, where's your necklace?
Oh,
well,
yeah.
where's your earrings?
Yeah.
And it's like, and the same with us. It's like,
Yeah.
where's your phone? Where'd you put things?
Yeah.
I mean, on
Keep
Glee,
2 extra on the set card.
on Glee, I seriously was like a traffic officer. I'd stood outside at the tailgate of, I'd had the golf cart picked up the kids at the base of my trailer because there were so many of them all the time. And so I would stand out there and I would watch every single one of them. And it would be like, Kevin, make sure you change your shoes. Oh, okay. Amber, here's your jewelry. Oh, okay. Leah, go tend to her. I mean, I was just like, it was a constant back and forth with all of them. And I made sure they were all ready for school when they got in the golf cart and they took them away.
Did you have your breakfast?
Like, seriously, they called me the mom.
Yeah.
I mean, they did. They used to come in and I was like the set mom to them. Too many kids.
It's too many kids. And then we'd collaborate on those backpacks and those outfits
my
and
goodness.
make sure.
Yes.
And Sweet Paul. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Man, that was a lot of stuff.
That was a lot of stuff. That was a lot of stuff.
We called it trauma bonding.
Good. Come out of it better, more sharp.
Yeah.
I see that you worked on a couple of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Yes.
Tell us about that, because that's something that comes with a lot of like accessories
Yes.
and stuff, and swords that need to
Oh,
fit in
yes.
certain areas, and guns that need to fit in waistbands that are
Yeah.
giant and heavy and bulky.
Yeah. Those two, I did Pirates 2 and 3,
Awesome.
and we shot them together. So for 3 years straight.
And not here, right?
We did shoot most of it here, actually.
You did shoot most of it here.
We did. We were supposed to shoot a lot of it in the Caribbean.
Right.
But unfortunately, they didn't build the tank properly with like an outflow. So the first time they tried to shoot in the tank, it was like a washing machine, so it didn't work. And then they ran into weather and problems
Yeah.
that were sort of acts of God. So they ended up actually turning over most of that production here.
Yeah.
And we ended up building 2 of the ships up in Palmdale, ironically. On the sound stages are the warehouses where they built the B-52 bombers.
Really?
We actually put 2 scale models of the Davy Jones's ship and
Whoa.
Jack Sparrow's ship
That's
together
cool.
on gimbals. It was actually incredible. If you want to look at something really fun, look at the archive for that. We
Yeah.
did the largest blue screen ever done at that time, and we had rain bars and light bars over both ships because we did our Maelstrom sequence up there for 4 months.
Oh, wow.
We rained on 150 stunt people every single day.
Whoa.
So that was great, but and that was just one piece of it. But honestly, those 2 movies were by far one of my favorite things I've ever done.
Yeah. That's got to feel like, I mean, if this 2 full scale models and you have, like, walking through that must feel surreal. Like you're actually, like, I feel like that's like part of the the reason a lot of us, like, I still get that feeling on a lot of those sets, like, or when you're walking through a Star Wars set or walking through any of these, that I'm just like, okay, this is why I'm here. It's because we're on a different universe right now.
I was telling somebody this the other day. I think that was the last of the like really big, epic in-person filmmaking that was done. I mean, we built those sets. We built Tia Dalma's like shack and her swampland at Disney on a soundstage. You know, we built up a 4-foot tank. We built the whole beginning of the third movie, the sort of Sao Feng, like Shanghai, like really cool water sequence in the huge soundstage at Universal that has a tank. And you walked through those sets and you felt like you were in a swamp or you were in Shanghai. It was really, really incredible. The props were incredible. I mean, I will say I might have a couple of the rubber guns still from that, because the props were amazing. Just everything that we did. And we did have to work really closely in terms of swords and guns and things. And our prop department worked very hard on that movie, as did we. I mean, we had thousands and thousands of costumes through those two movies that were just incredible. I mean, it was definitely one of my best experiences for 3 years. That's all I did was Pirates.
3 years.
Yeah, because we shot the two movies, and then in between the two movies, we did a lot of press. So anytime there was anything that we had to do with Pirates in terms of a commercial or a premiere or a toy company, I was the person that dressed the pirates. And that was kind of cool because I was oftentimes entrusted with that. Sometimes they wouldn't hire a prop master for that. And so they'd give me swords and guns and things and be like, here, put these on, this mannequin so that the toy company could come by.
Wow.
And like take photographs of it because we didn't have scanning then.
Oh, no.
All of that was I worked with ILM on getting the mocap suits built at that point because it wasn't a thing yet.
No.
So it was pretty incredible.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah.
Turning point in Hollywood right there.
It was really neat.
That sounds so cool. They typically don't hire prop people. It's very interesting to
for like the smaller
it's like when you do the promo of a show or stuff like that, they always will hire the costume department, the hair and makeup department, and then I always feel like I'm fighting to get my people to be in there because they've been with the actors. Yeah. And they've been handing the actors the props, and it's sometimes the production companies just don't have that reality. They're like, wait, what do you do?
Mm-hmm. And I think with something like that became, I was really good friends with the asset manager in between the two films and then afterwards, and where we stored everything because they knew they were going to make more pirate movies. So we held on to everything. But he called me like anytime there was anything pirate related, he would call me. And so I would come in and I would pull the same costumes and he would give me the same bucket of props and things and be like, here, go take this to the AT&T commercial that they need 2 pirates at, to hawk a cell phone. I mean, I think that trust level of I was going to do the film, like I was going to do it right. And I cared about everybody's craft. Yeah. And if they could only bring in somebody, at least somebody who cared, I think was really important.
I feel like I've done a lot of ones that it's interesting because a lot of times they'll do like the promo shoots while they're still shooting the movie or like on a weekend or something like that, and they'll bring you in if you're available and they'll pay you like the 6th and 7th day on because it's like a different budget pool or something like that. So I've done it like that, but it's usually been something chaotic and crazy like that. You know?
Yeah, because normally they're just there for the photos.
Yes.
They're not, they don't know what it takes to make a production. They just know that they need these things coming to their
It needs to look good and fine-tuned.
Yeah. And I think, for something like that, they premiered both movies at Disneyland. And so they actually had Main Street decked out as a whole pirate experience. So we dressed 50 performers for the red carpet for the premiere. And I think that was kind of cool. And so they would call us and be like, hey, can you do that? I'm like, absolutely. Can we stay and watch the movie afterwards? Which we did. I mean, they filmed the movie on Tom Sawyer's Island. They had a huge screen on there, and so they put bleachers across the little lagoon.
Oh, cool.
And they showed it on Tom
that's
Sawyer's
cool.
Island.
That's pretty neat.
And we dressed pirates, like the
Yeah.
whole, like, it was really just, that whole thing was just very epic and like unreal. I mean, we just
Yeah.
don't do things to that scale
No,
anymore.
not anymore.
So they shot those back to back then, like pretty much with the same team and everything.
Yeah, 2 and 3 were the two movies that they did, together. And so I kept everybody together. And the set crew had like a little downtime in between, but I never did.
Yeah.
I basically started it and didn't stop it for 3 years.
dressed pirates for 3 years.
3 years. It was great. I didn't have a lint roller in sight. It was fantastic.
Yeah, a lot of Fuller's Earth probably. Though. A lot of
So much.
smear.
Yeah, leather weighing.
Yeah. Oh man, the leather.
I can't imagine, especially being in the rain, like having them wet for that long.
That was my first experience having an overnight crew. I actually had at the two hangars that we set up, this huge station where we had the ships on one, and then we set up basically like a convention center at the other hangar, where it was us and props and hair and makeup, and we kind of did like the rope and stanchion rooms, and we had 120 stunt guys getting dressed every day in we had 3 to 4 different looks for them in like a locker room style. And then they'd go out and they'd get rained on. They'd come back in, they'd change into a different look, they'd get rained on again. And so I brought in
Oh, cool.
3 people starting at like 6 o'clock at night.
Wow.
And they would work overnight, and they would just dry things. They would wash and dry things. So we had
wow.
a shipping container that we outfitted as a hot box,
Wow.
where we put all the leather goods in so that they could dry out. We had industrial boot dryers that we built, and I had probably 25 washing machines and dryers.
Oh my God.
That's crazy.
And that's the 3 people. That's all they did overnight. And then next day, the stunt guys would come in, they'd get dressed, and they'd get wet all over again.
Wow.
And it was just 4 months of that.
Wow.
It was absolutely incredible to see. And that stuff it still holds up, believe it or not.
oh, yeah.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, just pulling the pieces out, and sometimes it gets a little crunchy, but we aged everything. I think that's the other thing that's really great when you can see artisans at work and making things look old. Because
Yeah.
everything. I mean, I think Pirates just looked so great because it was dirty and gross and
Yeah.
grungy, but it was all clean.
Yeah.
because it was all painted in, and so the technicians from both ours, from props, everything just was like absolutely beautiful to look at.
Yeah. So I think Chris Peck prop mastered that.
Yeah.
Yeah. With his team. That's right up his alley and skilled with all that stuff. So
Yeah, I'm sure those prop guys, after all that rain, had to dry out all those guns and make sure they can shoot again.
Oh,
And-
yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. It was a lot. I mean, it was just so much.
That sounds like a lot.
I'd do it.
It was great.
Mikey's like, I'm in.
Yeah.
Man, sign me up. I like so my favorite shows. I mean, there's like, I don't know, not when I first started, but like I remember assisting when I first got like the opportunity to like assist on Westworld or something like that. Like everybody would complain about it. Like, oh, it's hot. It's like the worst thing. Like I was like, I will do it any day of the week. And it's like, why? It's like, because I'm not handing off like cell phones and stuff. Like we're actually like, man, I was like, yesterday I propped up 25 prostitutes, a whole bunch of barkeeps, a bunch of shopkeeps, like cowboys, and like all this stuff. It's like I can go on, like mine workers, like and it took 3 hours just to go through 300 people, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
And I was like, it feels like even just day playing, like it feels like you still have a creative, like here's a giant shipping container full of stuff. Just make the people look good.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I will do this.
I think that's the artistry, and the sort of older Hollywood. It feels like. I mean, just I loved that stuff.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, I mean, it was hot and sweaty and rugged, but those days flew by, or those nights, a lot of the nights, which is like today, like now it's like shows like Fallout and stuff like that. All the shows that you hear about, like a lot of people complain about. It's like that's the hardest thing ever. It's like sign me up because it's gonna fly by. It's gonna always keep me occupied. I can go around and like there's always something to do.
Yeah.
There's always something to do.
Yeah. I did a little bit of the last season of Fallout. I did the last 6 weeks of that. That's another one where, they all wore those wrist things.
Yeah, the Pit Boys.
Boys.
I worked the last week of Fallout. And very familiar with them.
And that's a big one, making sure that they, and we would have Velcro pieces on our suits to be able to have the underside of the Pit Boys so that they didn't move around.
Yeah. Those things, talked a lot about those. Those things were a battle, I guess, from season 1, and they're still trying to figure them out. Okay, because they brought out those sweatbands to try to fill out the space because everybody's wrists is a
different size,
different size.
Yeah.
So it's hard, especially for background, to form fit a lot of them, and without them, also they're gonna wear them all day. So without them cutting off circulation or getting too tight.
And my favorite thing, and I'm sure you run into this with the manufacturers that make some of your equipment. I know we do when we outsource people to make some of our stuff. They'll have these really beautiful pieces, and they'll have these little tiny pins and locks and things that they hook them on with. And for us, it's
that's not practical.
That's not practical. That pin is not going to work.
Yeah.
No AD is going to let you have the time to find the little tiny thing to be able to lock it into place. And my favorite thing when I see costumes that have the ratchet, the screw guns, and they're oh, you have to screw gun something in. No, we have to figure out a better way.
Yeah.
Because that's a big thing. When we get swords on the back, that's a big one to be able to support the weight on the back of a costume that wants to pull at the actor's neck. You need to have some kind of internal structure on that to be able to take that weight away, because dual swords on the back, I just run screaming. I hate it so much because it's very hard to get that and don't come after me with your little screw gun. I don't want to see it.
You mean it's not as easy as it looks?
No.
Oh, it's wild.
That's the glory of our job, though. If it looks seamless and everything and unnoticed, it means we worked real hard to get it that way.
Yeah.
The amount of Velcro under Mr. Freeze's suit,
the
audience will never know.
They'll never know.
But I know.
And what's funny to me too is, and oftentimes I think the weaponry is a big one in terms of sword handles or batons. We did when I did Thunderbolts, that was a big thing with Natasha having batons on her back that, had to carry over from another movie. But we worked really hard with Drew in terms of how we were going to get the batons the right way to so she could grab them, but also they weren't going to stab her in the back. And she was, very conscious of all of her stunts. And so we went through a lot of different little baton handles for these random little sticks that stick in her back.
Yeah. Wondering putting guns in the back, if that's going to add any weight that's not a backpack, I guess.
Yeah. Like the shotgun in the
that's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking of.
All of it. The things, bandoliers and
Bandoliers,
swords and shotguns, anything that goes across the body. Also, you just have to be so careful too, because the one thing, the onset people have to work together really well. I mean, we work together at an office level, but if the onset people aren't working together, I mean, how many times has a prop person come over and just thrown a shotgun over them, and then the jacket's all nasty, or the costumer comes up and they're trying to get something as the gun is in somebody's hands. I mean, we have to be able to work together to be able to say, hey, give a moment, especially if it's a live weapon or not live anymore, but just one that has a potential of hey, let's be safe and take a beat.
Be mindful, Jen and Ben and Otto and Mike, the amount of times I saw them on set just attached to an actor trying to figure out how the prop and the costume thing and the other thing and all the go together. It was, I just always stood back and watched because I knew they were going to figure it out. But they worked so good together. And Jen, she's just no, I got it. This is going to be better. And then Otto's but then this has to go here. And she's I know, we'll fix it. Let's go.
Yeah, that relationship is so important.
So important. So important.
Yeah. Well, I think we're getting towards the end. How do you guys? Is there anything? I got a big question. Okay, is there anything you haven't worked? Your resume is pretty crazy, actually. Is there? And you haven't. So you guys just did a TV show, right?
Yeah.
Aside from Glee, you don't have a ton of TV you did mostly big movies.
Yeah,
So do
I
you
did.
have like a preference, or is that just what came your way?
No, that's kind of what came my way. I mean, I did Selena, and then I went right into the Buffy and Angel world. So I was in sort of that world for 4 years, and then segued. But when I started having a family, I was able to get more back into features. But then I did Glee for 6 years. You know, it was like Pirates for 3, Glee for 6. That's 10 years of my life was spent on basically 2 projects. And so from there, once you land in the Marvel universe, then you kind of never get out until they take everything to
Were
the
you
UK.
traveling a lot for that? It's like, did you get past the family thing, and then you just had?
No, honestly, I am a modern Hollywood person, and I said I will not let this business take over my family. So I stayed in town the whole
Really?
time I raised my kids. The only time I left town was on Spider-Man. My son had already graduated. My daughter was 16, and she was okay with it because it was Tom Holland.
Yeah.
It also happened during COVID, so
Yeah.
she was able to come to Atlanta with me.
Oh, cool.
But that was the first time I had traveled since Selena,
Wow.
and I was able to do everything in Los Angeles.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and I did that by choice. I mean,
Yeah.
I turned down things that would take me out of town because I wanted to be a mom.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a successful working mother. And I feel pretty good now that I have older kids that have said, you know, you were always there for us. I did all the scouting stuff with them. I did the family stuff
Yeah.
with them. And they, I think that really matters.
Yeah.
Now that they're older and they have their own lives, I've been able to travel a little bit more.
Nice.
But I like being home.
Yeah.
I like my house. I like my family, my
Yeah.
dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let production be back in LA.
Yeah. And I
Thrilled
don't
with
mind
that.
traveling through the United States. I don't know that I had the opportunity to go to New Zealand recently, and I turned that one down because I didn't want to be away from home for 9 months.
Yeah.
For that far,
Yeah.
you know. So, yeah, the only thing I think...
For 9 months.
For
Is that a
9
Blue People movie?
no, believe it or
No?
not. But I'm glad I didn't, because that one looks like
Yeah.
it's running into some challenges.
Yes. Yeah.
But the only thing I haven't done so far is a good true Western.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the one
You know what?
thing.
That's the answer we get most on this show. It's like everybody wanting to really do a Western. That I feel like they're few and far between now.
Yeah, I've done a few like little adjacent things, but if I could do a Western, that's what I want.
Yeah.
One more.
That's the icing right there.
That's the icing on the cake.
I'll
Yeah.
wait a little bit for a Western.
Oh, come on. Good
I love
props
it.
in that one.
Yeah.
All right, get us a job. Let's go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go to Texas or Utah for a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. New Mexico.
Fine. Let's go.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us today. This was awesome.
Thank you so much for having me. This was
Yeah.
really fun.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sarah, thank you for co-hosting again.
Yeah.
Hopefully we see you on a handful more episodes. Keep bringing people in. We'll keep
Yeah.
doing this.
Yeah, we got to start thinking of other people to bring in that we haven't
Yeah.
seen yet.
Yeah. I don't know. There's lots of prop people we still haven't brought in. I got lazy and stopped looking. But I'm sure they're out there. If you want to be on the show, why don't you give us a call? We're ready to interview you. I'm taking open calls. To make it easier. Also, if you want to be a sponsor of Prop Talk, we're looking for sponsorships. So if you want to hear your ad read on the show, a lot of prop masters listen to the show, so it would be very good for you. Go ahead and email info@propertymastersguild.org. Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Prop Talk, the official podcast of the Property Masters Guild, brought to you by real working and retired prop masters. If this is your first time listening, please make sure to like, subscribe, and comment wherever you're hearing this. If you want to know more information on the Property Masters Guild or have any questions for us here at Prop Talk, be sure to go to propertymastersguild.org. We're also on Instagram @_the PMG and all other socials. We also we have awards coming up in September, so go to our website if you want to know more information about that. If you want to find tickets for it, learn about all that stuff. I think nominations are coming up, so yeah, looking forward to that. If you're a prop master and you're part of the PMG, make sure you keep an eye out for that and go vote. Yeah, that's it for now. Until next time.